Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful day in America. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us. It was, what do they say, a barn burner? I think it was barn burner. We'll go with that. A barn burner day for Donald Trump at the United Nations, and it started from the moment he got there, a broken escalator, a broken teleprompter. It seemed like they just wanted to annoy Donald Trump, and they pissed off the wrong person because Donald Trump was there, and he was throwing haymakers. He held no prisoners. He went after the globalist elite. He went after the good-for-nothing United Nations. He went after everybody under the sun who, I guess, is directly an enemy of America if you don't support the values that America supports, which is truth, justice, and I guess freedom. And there's a lot of countries out there who are having a very difficult time with that. And Donald Trump called them out. Not necessarily by name. He went on a little rant about free speech, clearly going after the United Kingdom, who's having a little bit of a hard time right now with respecting people's freedom of speech. But Donald Trump, I want to go through some of these instances and just levelings of people. We'll start with the globalist elites who want a one world order type system here in America. Take a listen.
The entire globalist concept of asking successful industrialized nations to inflict pain on themselves and radically disrupt their entire societies must be rejected completely and totally, and it must be immediate. That's why in America I withdrew from the fake Paris Climate Accord, where, by the way, America was paying so much more than every country. Others weren't paying. China didn't have to pay until 2030. Russia was given an old standard that was easy to meet, a 1990 standard. But for the United States, we're supposed to pay like $1 trillion. And I said, this is another scam. The fact is, the United States has been taken advantage of by the world for many, many years, but not any longer, as you probably noticed. I unleashed massive energy production and signed historic executive orders to hunt for oil, but we don't have to do much hunting because we have the most oil of any nation anywhere, oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, we have the most of any nation in the world. Clean, I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can do things today with coal that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, 15 years. So I have a little standing order in the White House. Never use the word coal, only use the words clean, beautiful coal. Sounds much better, doesn't it? But we stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, when most of you do. We're proudly exporting energy all over the world. We're now the largest exporter.
That was one of Donald Trump's moment where he decided to be a little bit nicer to the audience of globalist elites. It got much worse than that for these people. It got to the point where Donald Trump flat out asked them, what is the United Nations good for? What is your purpose? You've ended no wars, which is essentially what your job is. You guys have done nothing. I've ended 6 or 7 wars by myself with no help of the United Nations, just a bunch of strongly worded letters with broken elevators and broken teleprompters. Take a listen.
It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
Now, as tough as Donald Trump is and as good a job he does, he's a very giving person, as I've told you all here. Cares about the country, cares about the world. So have no fear. Donald Trump is here, and he's here to save the world and extend a helping hand to anyone who wants to be a great country.
Whether the UN can manage to play a productive role, I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with. A dramatically better future is within our reach. But to get there, we must reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the greatest threats in history.
Donald Trump's saying it nicely, but pretty much what he's saying is cut out your bullshit and we're here to help you. England, cut out your censorship of free speech. Iran, cut out your nonsense of wanting to make nuclear weapons. Russia, Ukraine, end the war, grow up. I mean, very, very simple. Now, whether the globalist elites heed his warning or take his advice or reach out for a helping hand, I guess we'll find out who wants help and who doesn't. Yesterday, President Trump, in his mission to do something great as part of the MAGA agenda, the Make America Healthy Again agenda, which has the Marxist left in shambles and in tears. Imagine this, folks. The left, the mainstream media, the Marxist-run news organizations and print organizations are upset that Donald Trump wants to find a cure and put an end to autism in America. Instead of cheering this initiative on, you've got places like the Associated Press putting out headlines like this. Donald Trump promotes unproven ties between Tylenol, vaccines, and autism without evidence. Take a listen to President Trump at the White House yesterday.
The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31. But in some areas, it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California, where they have for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys. 1 in 31 overall. So since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation.
Imagine that. The Associated Press with the audacity. President Trump promotes unproven ties between Tylenol vaccines and autism without new evidence. Now, that's the same, of course, Associated Press that during the times of COVID consider themselves doctors. This is just one of the articles we pulled up. that the Associated Press fact checkers, apparently a team of doctors in their own mind, find that there was no link between COVID vaccines and placental abnormalities. So they could be doctors, but President Trump's administration, the FDA, CMA, HHS, none of these folks are credible people. Now, President Trump talked about those autism rates, which are clearly unacceptable. These are just the rates you have here on the screen between 2000 and 2022. In 2005 per 1,000. I mean, now we're over 30 in 1,000. Just 22 years later, as I said, going to 2022. And the Marxist media they're beside themselves that Donald Trump would want to do something like this, that Donald Trump would want to get rid of autism in America. Instead, they laugh and they joke like it's funny. Now, going through some research, the thing that I found interesting is some of the most developed countries in the world, some of the best healthcare in the world, are among the countries with the highest autism rates. And I'll just go down this list. America, 1 in 31. South Korea, 1 in 38. Japan, 1 in 87. Sweden, 1 in 100. Denmark, 1 in 60. Australia, 1 in 70. Canada, 1 in 66. Norway, 1 in 59. You get the idea. All countries with great healthcare systems, yet our autism rates are absolutely through the roof. Now, I don't know if it has something to do with this little chart we have here on the screen. I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be one, but I do give you the data for you to make the decision for yourself, which is what the mainstream media doesn't want us to do. Sitting here in front of you is a 2025 schedule from the CDC on vaccines they want you to get for your kids between birth and 4 to 6 years old. But we'll talk about the first 1 to 19 months that they want you to give to your child. Let's count these here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 vaccines in the matter of 19 months. Or we'll call it 12 months because some of them are boosters. And now you've got the COVID-19 on there that's going away. So you've got the RSV, you've got hepatitis B, you've got rotavirus, you've got DTaP, you've got HIV, pneumococcal, polio, influenza flu, MMR, chickenpox, hepatitis A. And I'm sure there's more than that. So I don't know if America's great healthcare system and the immunizations that are given to kids in this vast quantity have anything to do with it. But I'm also not opposed to looking into it, as should anybody in the mainstream media. Who would be opposed to finding a cure that is for something that is so debilitating for so many families? I'm sure each and every one of you out there knows somebody who either has autism or has a kid with autism. Here on the Great America Show, we actually, all of our merchandise we've made, we outsource to a company in New York that only employs people with disabilities. They hire them, they bring them in during the day, they pay them, and they give them a way to get out into society. And I've gone down to the shop many times and interacted with these people. And my friend who runs the shop, who's in charge of all the employees there. And it's heartbreaking to see. It's debilitating to see that this is what is normal in this country now. But nobody wants to ask the question. Nobody wants to be the one to find the cure. Instead, we'll point to wacky Donald Trump or wacky RFK Jr. or wacky Dr. Oz, the TV doctor who's got better credentials than almost any doctor I know. Take a listen to Dr. Oz, CMA administrator, laying out, not telling you not to take Tylenol anymore, but telling you that there are studies that show that it may have something to do with autism. Take a listen.
We believe that especially heavy use of acetaminophen, and this is based on data that was compiled by the Harvard School of Public Health just several weeks ago in an important publication that looked at 46 prior studies. And it is true there have been some studies that have not shown a correlation, but there are many more that have shown a concern. Now, the question is, what do you tell families? You can't tell them nothing, which has been what's happening for the last couple of years, because people feel like they're being blown off, or they're being held back from understanding truly what we understand within government. What we understand in government is what you heard yesterday from the President, Secretary Kennedy, and the three agency heads, Jay, Marty, and myself. We know that people who take Tylenol for prolonged periods of time during pregnancy seem to have a higher incidence of autism in aggregate. So the message is not never take Tylenol. It's take Tylenol judiciously. Take it by talking with your doctor. Make sure there's an important reason to take it. Don't take it willy-nilly because you think it's so safe it couldn't possibly cause a problem. Because those assumptions appear to be erroneous. Okay.
After listening to Dr. Oz there, it seems to me Big Pharma has their hands all over this. Their sticky fingers all over these mainstream media reports. Simply saying, use it with caution. He cites a Harvard School of Health there, clearly run by Democrats. I don't think there's a conservative person at Harvard. And the mainstream media is still balls to the wall. Donald Trump's not a doctor. Dr. Oz isn't a doctor. Nobody's a doctor. No, the New York Times is a bunch of doctors. When they pushed and pushed and pushed from 2020 to 2021 to 2022 up until this year, get your COVID vaccines. There's no adverse side effects because we're a bunch of doctors. No, the 17 and 18-year-old kids who are dropping dead on basketball courts, it had nothing to do with the vaccine. They were healthy before, but it has nothing. Don't look into it. It has nothing to do with it. Don't look into it. Nothing to see here. Nothing smells fishy. No. Don't look into that. No, nothing to see here. We're supposed to believe these people who led us down rabbit holes for 4 years, telling us the vaccine saved lives, and if you didn't get the vaccine, you were going to die. And if you didn't vaccinate your mother and your grandmother, they were dead. I know more people who were vaccinated that died from COVID-19. Now, I don't know if it's from the vaccine, but I know more people who are vaccinated who died, fully healthy people, than I do of people who died unvaccinated from COVID-19. And I'm sure each and every one of you can say the same thing. But the New York Times, the Associated Press, they can't. And I wonder why. Like I said, it smells of Big Pharma. They've got their sticky paws all over this thing. And we'll probably get demonetized and flagged on YouTube for giving you this information. There's nothing false about it. We've given you all the stats and the statistics. But big tech and Big Pharma and all these people, they don't want you to hear the truth. They don't want you to hear statistics. They want you to hear their narrative only. If you guys are joining us on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, please drop a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from and your thoughts on this situation, your thoughts on everything going on with the Trump administration trying to get a cure for COVID and the disinformation in vaccines. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. On the other side of this heated conversation, we're going to be joined by no better guest today, I think, than to talk about all this and much more. My good friend, Rasmussen Reports, leading pollster, preeminent pollster for the United States of America, the great Mark Mitchell. Folks, we're taking a quick break. It's coming right back. Please stay with us. The Great America Show continues in just one moment. We'll be right back.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, MyPillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us here on the Great America Show. And as I asked, if you're joining us on Rumble or YouTube, please be sure to drop a comment. Let us know where you're tuned in from, or if you're enjoying this discussion, or if you're not. As promised, our guest today is a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine, the great Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports. Mark, always a delight to talk with you.
Yeah.
I guess let's start with first the monologue that I just did on big healthcare wanting to put an end to Donald Trump and his team's quest for finding a cure for autism. That seems pretty evil to me, to put it nicely.
Well, great to be here. And I'm glad you're super pissed, because I am too. And what it comes down to is that people with money, it appears, they don't give a crap about Americans, our health, the future of this country. They literally will just spend their money in order to concentrate wealth and power, because they don't give a crap about kids developing autism, about people getting myocarditis. They're going to use every fiber of their being to prevent a $1.5 trillion industry from being picked apart. These people have carefully laid plans that have given them tendrils snaking into every lever of power in the United States. 25%, apparently, I just looked it up, of TV news advertising slots in this year got purchased by pharmaceutical companies. And so can you imagine Associated Press has to report on a pharma development, and they know that their biggest clients are going to use that information? What do you think happens? The entire system needs to be gutted. And there's only, like, RFK Jr. and Trump are the only people doing it. And I can only imagine the pressure that Trump is surrounded with, because, there's influences. Somebody gets in the White House, everybody all of a sudden is your best friend. Lobbyist firms that have ties to people in the administration, all of a sudden the revenue shoots up. Firms like major healthcare companies that don't want things to change, even though America overwhelmingly does. We've documented the absolute mistrust in the health industry. It's like every other industry. Are they any different? No, people don't believe doctors now, especially after COVID. And if we can't go over even the most blatant stuff, like the way in which it's been alleged that there is a revolving door between places like the pharmaceutical companies that market remdesivir and the regulatory agents that clear their new products, the people in the administration who allow safety checks and important scientific milestones to be skipped so that they can rush something like remdesivir to market. And listen, this isn't me making this accusation. Yeah. Every nurse I talk to calls remdesivir run, death is near. Now, how did it get a name like that? And what are we going to do about it? Because I'm pretty sure that there are licensing arrangements, that Anthony Fauci probably is receiving money from these decisions that he made that have allegedly caused people death. If we can't roll that guy up, what are we even doing?
Yeah, I think he was the highest paid government employee at the time, making, I think maybe more than the president of the United States, or just
millions.
Well, no, I'm just talking about his government salary, which was peanuts compared to the money he was making, which doesn't make sense. I mean, any other government job you have, Mark, you can't be getting. I mean, they're ostensibly legal kickbacks, is what he was getting, is what he boils it down to, getting trademark kickbacks on some of these drugs. I've never heard of that before in my life, that you could be a government employee and then be an employee of somewhere else making outside money. It's absolutely.
We need to systematically increase our understanding of the way these bastards enrich themselves, because they all get what, 180, 200, 220K a year, right? What do? They own multiple homes. They own $2 million homes in Alexandria. It's disgusting. Where do they make that money? They all have multiple streams of income coming in from places. They're buying and selling stocks. I bet you a bunch of people made money off the remdesivir announcement, because how would they not use that information? They all have, like, basically rental income coming from places that are their primary residence. They probably have gold bars appearing miraculously in their empty fridges, offshore bank accounts, do-nothing jobs for the wives. There has been no effort to understand the scope of which every person, regulator, lawmaker has been purchased. And have they all? I don't know, but probably.
The gold bars in the freezer, I think, brings a whole new term, iced out. But it's sad, it's funny, but all of it's true. I mean, that the fact that we let this happen right in front of our very eyes, and nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about the truth of the world that we're living in, that we're allowing big pharma to dictate what an administration does because they don't like what you're doing. And I mean, it's something so small. Every single drug commercial on TV, they have that disclaimer at the end. Hey, if you take this, you may die. You may end up, on the side of the road somewhere. You may end up in a field somewhere with just your underwear on. I think that was one of the jokes for that powerful sleep medicine. I forgot what it was called, Ambien, where people were waking up in like hayfields because it's such a strong drug. They have all these disclaimers, but as soon as they go after Tylenol, it's game over, which is probably one of the most widely used drugs, I would say, in the world, not just America. We use Tylenol for just about everything because we're told it's very safe. Now, the second
I just checked it, childhood Tylenol, like just a little grape flavored liquid that you give your kids, is a $5.6 billion market globally.
Jesus,
big numbers,
right? So the second you start going after these to question them, it's gloves off. And this all ties into, Mark, which we'll talk about now, the globalist model, where don't upset the apple cart, which is exactly what Donald Trump did today at the United Nations.
Oh, wait, I thought you were playing a clip or something. Well, that was yeah, no, he did. Well, every apple cart has to be upset. And what we're seeing now is that nobody's going to upset any apple carts. And people are paying attention. Kash Patel's favorability is dropping. It's down to 70%. Trump's at 84%. He's only 40%, very favorable among Republicans. Kash Patel. People want to see arrests. People think the right direction of the country was super high. Now the number's crashing. And people are now concerned about political violence. They want rapid change. We know this. We know that this was a referendum on trust in the federal government. Only 30% trust the federal government. And yet everything around us, except for literally like Twitter, is a raid against change. I was just thinking, remember the show? I don't know if you watched it or not. House of Cards. Oh,
I love that show.
It captured the nation's attention. It was very popular. It was the zeitgeist. Everybody was
like, "Oh, extremely true as well."
It turned out to be not even close. It turned out to be like the absolute worst, like my 10-year-old daughter could come up with if I asked her how corrupt Congress is. That's what it was. It was nothing, not even close. Now, it was destroyed by Me Too, and that was back in 17 or 18.
Yeah.
But it's so much worse than we know. How come nobody's making shows about corruption? The amount of stuff that's been uncovered is so much more creative and pervasive than anybody in entertainment probably ever thought of. And yet they will not touch these things because it's gotten too true.
Well, no, I mean, the things you're saying, not even close. Some of the things that are written into that show makes me wonder if it was based off of a whistleblower who came to help them write the show. That the fact is that's how things are run in DC. It's all strong arming. It's all corruption. I mean, House of Cards makes the government look like a bunch of angels. I mean, the government makes House of Cards look like a bunch of angels with what went on in that show. If anyone never watched it, it's a really good show. It was on Netflix with Kevin Spacey. But it's a emulation of how our government is run. As for corruption and people disappearing and miraculously dying, I mean, we've seen a few people, Mark, just miraculously drop dead off the face of the earth when they had
His name was Seth Rich.
Ah, Seth Rich. I've heard that name before. That was a man who was robbed in the park, right?
Yeah. Except instead of like one lone wolf scumbag congressman, like who's the implication? Who did that? Again, allegedly, right? It wasn't some like random MS-13 gangbanger, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's somebody that was making examples. It's somebody that was angry. It was revenge, potentially. It was a message to silence people. Dark stuff.
Yeah, it really was. I want to take a quick break here, folks. We're coming right back with Mark Mitchell. We're going to take up, Mark's got some new poll numbers for us on what the people think. Who's causing destruction in this country? who's the greater threat? Is it the right wingers? Is it the left wingers? And what are people saying about the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Are people saying it's justified? Can anybody possibly say it's justifiable to be assassinated? For your thoughts, I'm going to get Mark's take and the numbers, folks, because everything on the show is based on statistics or fact. So we're going to get the numbers from Mark directly, not what the mainstream media wants you to know. We're coming right back with Mark Mitchell, folks. Please stay with us.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us. Now, as promised, Mark's got some new polling numbers for us. Mark, tell us first, what are the people saying about the assassination of Charlie Kirk? There can't be anybody out there who thinks what was done to him is justifiable, right? I hope.
I mean, John, everybody watching this knows the real answer. And the real answer is like roughly a quarter of the country is just completely lost, just completely lost. I wonder if there's hope for them, because it's like soulless behavior. Can that really be fixed? Like if you're demonic, maybe you can be bullied or ostracized into acting within social mores and constraints. Maybe. I guess that's how people used to do it. But we measure, and we've seen the signal before. Burning down Tesla dealerships, happy that Luigi Mangione killed somebody, wishing that the Butler assassinate hadn't missed Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk was recently assassinated while holding an event in Utah, which is closer to your opinion that Charlie Kirk was peacefully and respectfully debating people, and it's a tragedy that he was murdered. That's the right answer. The wrong answer is that Charlie Kirk was speaking hateful words and his murder was tragic but understandable. So we didn't go like total like evil. Yeah. We allowed people a little bit of a wiggle room there. Okay, it was a tragic murder, but it was understandable that his hateful words caused it. Pretty demonic, because we have a First Amendment. People have natural rights. Allegedly. 62% said the right answer. 26% said the wrong answer. Another 12% were not sure. Now, obviously, some of those don't know what Charlie Kirk was saying, so I guess, but other people, I guess, just morally didn't care to answer. The right answer was 66% men, 58% women. Only half of 18 to 29-year-olds got the right answer. They were the worst by far, but they were followed by the olds. The olds, only 60% of them got the right answer. Less than half of the black electorate got the right answer, only 49%, not a good look. Only 42% of Democrats got the right answer. They were split 42 to 40. Self-ID liberals, 54% picked the wrong answer, only 28% the right answer. No income signal, no education signal, grad degrees, a little more evil than everybody else. Kamala Harris voters. A plurality, 48% of Kamala Harris voters said that Charlie Kirk was speaking hateful words and his murder was tragic but understandable, 48%. Half of Kamala Harris voters.
Wow. 26% say it was pretty much justifiable. I'd love to meet those 26% to see what they look like, to see what they act like, and see who they are, because that's
you know who they are. They go to No Kings rallies. They yell at you in your community for the Karen stuff. They sit in your church, in the pews, and man, if the pastor says the wrong thing, he's going to get a piece of their opinion, because their religion is more important. They're maintaining the moral authority and being part of a cohesive system of artificial trust that they've built up around authoritarianism. This is an authoritarian signal, I think, because it's the idea of, well, somebody's saying something I don't like, they need to be shut up. And we've seen this. Like they wanted to throw people who question the efficacy of vaccines in prisons, half a Democrat. So, I mean, it's not surprising. And maybe you could even say after COVID, the number's getting smaller. Like we didn't ask if the unvaccinated should be put in ditches and shot.
Yeah.
But remember, like a Pulitzer Prize winning LA Times journalist did tell us that mocking the death of the unvaccinated is gruesome, yes, but maybe necessary.
Yeah. So what are the people saying, Mark, in the same polling about who's a greater threat in this country, the right wingers or the left wingers?
Well, here's the problem is that we live still in clown world where everything is a complete lie. And we've covered this at length on your show, that Americans support Donald Trump's agenda. The problem is that they don't trust Republicans. They've been lied to. They disagree on who will fix the issues. Well, they disagree about how the issues should be fixed. So a lot of mistrust everywhere. That's the major problem. And so when you ask a question in terms of domestic terrorism, which is a greater threat, right wing or left wing loses 43-39, i.e. like is the plurality response, right wing. Now, some people obviously don't know what right wing, left wing means, and they just hate the political violence. Because remember, we said 90% are concerned about political violence equally on the right or the left.
Right.
But it's like, this is my message to the Trump administration. January 6th was a big lie. It was perpetrated on the MAGA movement. There has been no restitution for that. We have not uncovered. They talked a big game about having a new Jan 6 commission. Where is it? The clock is ticking. These things have to be corrected. They're hanging over Americans' heads, and they're going to color the way they view everything that's happening. Look at the Kash Patel response. This isn't because, well, he did do a bad job. Like the press release was bad. Like it was not good. And the messaging has been all over the place with the Charlie Kirk assassination. But they're not automatically going to assume that now that non-James Comey is in charge, that things are going to be better, that Chris Wray got fired, that everything's fixed. It's not. People need to see these things corrected. Extraordinary mistrust requires extraordinary proof. None has been provided.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If it's, I mean, it's not. The Republicans are doing this to themselves. They promised something and they're not delivering on it. But you and I both know, and this audience knows, who's the real perpetrators of violence. I was going through Twitter last night and I'm watching Keith Olbermann, who's just a pig. He's a disgusting human being who's been, who said Charlie Kirk should burn in hell and anyone, should go burn with him, telling Scott Jennings last night, "You're effing next." Keep mean mugging at the camera. I mean, this is the tolerant left. This is the left who comes after January 6ers that they're domestic terrorists. Last I checked, there wasn't one January 6er who killed anybody on that day. Contrary to what the mainstream media wants you to believe, the people who died that day were killed at the hands of Capitol Police officers. So you tell me an instance of right-wing violence. I'd love to see it.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. And they're more afraid of right-wing violence than the right is afraid of left-wing violence. That's the problem. And they thought it's two totally different mindsets. And the problem the Democrats are in is they're starting to fracture in a way that, we talk 46% of MSNBC viewers said the number one issue was threats to democracy. That's a fear, anger response, right? And that was their number one issue by far. In a question that said border invasion and rising prices, less than 25% of them said prices or the border. And so even though many of them can't even afford to put food on their table, they say, no, have to keep Trump out of office. He's going to steal my democracy. And, now the problem is it's like, okay, well, MSNBC is dying. 885th MSNBC.com on a similar web. It's plunging. It's down almost 200 spots in 2 months. Unbelievable. The brand is literally dying, but the the people are digging in. Like they're doubling down on the violence, the lies. Still, like the Kimmel stuff, the Sinclair Disney lies that are going on. It's like they're still going to lie about everything.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen, by the way, Jimmy Kimmel's coming back, except Nexstar and Sinclair, who I think they own like 20% of the networks that cover Jimmy Kimmel's show, 32 affiliates. Nexstar owns 32 affiliates. Sinclair operates 30 affiliates, so 62 affiliates say they have no interest in bringing back Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I don't know if it has something to do with his ratings or something to do with his rhetoric, but it's very, very simple. You have a broadcaster's license. You have to give equal time. You haven't done so. You broke the law. There's nothing more to it. Now, that's not even getting into Jimmy Kimmel perpetrating violence on the American people. That's not getting into Jimmy Kimmel perpetrating violence on Tesla owners and Tesla dealerships and Elon Musk. That's not Jimmy Kimmel bringing on people who say radical things and put the health and safety of our president at risk every day. That's not getting into Jimmy Kimmel's low-rated show that has dropped off over the last 10 years to virtually zero viewership. Should I keep going, Mark?
I mean, yeah, there's been no accountability, which is why all of a sudden the left freaked out the second there was some. Reddit politics was wall-to-wall posts about Jimmy Kimmel. They did not care at all about the massive event going on in Arizona, the Charlie Kirk revival. In fact, even places like the subreddit for Christianity didn't really care. They were too busy talking about free speech, fascist crackdowns. Now, I think they want their anti-fascist war. So anytime they get a little hint that this narrative will be supported, then they will pile into it. But this was accountability, and it didn't even come from the government, which was the wild thing. And so I applaud what Sinclair did, but they basically voted out of self-interest, which was, man, Disney ABC is insane. We're going to have to distance ourselves to some of these overt lies because there are regulations that exist. And so I applaud it. I absolutely applaud it because the lies are the problem. It's like these people are susceptible to manufactured brute force consensus. Very susceptible. YouGov had this poll out. I didn't get a chance to poll this, but more Americans see left-wing beliefs behind Charlie Kirk's shooting than see right-wing beliefs. So Americans got it right, but that's because Republicans were paying attention. The Democrats, only 10% think the shooter had left-wing beliefs. 33%, so they're over 3 times as likely, let's say, right-wing beliefs. But the real problem is that of the Democrats, 57% are like, oh, well, I don't, nothing to see here. I have no idea why this guy did it. That's bad. So they're either misinformed in a state of soul-crushing cognitive dissonance. There's a real problem going on with the left.
I just pulled up Reddit politics to see what they were talking about, and one of the top ones was people are threatening to boycott Disney after ABC suspends Jimmy Kimmel. Let's do to Disney what we did to Target. There's one problem is the right wins on the boycotts because they're the ones who are spending the money. Little old Johnny, who's on his mommy's Hulu account, can't call up mommy and say, hey, mommy, can you cancel the Hulu account? These bad people did something wrong. No, because mommy wants to watch her show. These people care. And it's sort of funny to see the left cares more about being able to watch a show. Me, Mark, I don't care. I'll cancel it all. I won't watch. I watch sports. It's the only thing I watch. It's the only thing I care about. Okay. I will cancel it all. I don't give a damn. Whereas these leftists, their lives revolve around entertainment television. They can't do so. Their boycotts don't work because they don't spend any money. When the Republicans or the right wingers or whatever you want to call them went after Target, and they're targeting these people, no pun intended, for rightful causes. Taking your kid into Target to see all this gay and tranny stuff is, I think, a good reason to boycott a brand. And it worked. It was all gone. Disney, of course, Bob Iger's a weenie, caved, and is giving this man back his show after 6 days. It's not even a punishment. At this point, it looks like it was just a show for him to put on. But there is no boycotting on the left because they don't spend any money. What are you going to boycott? Like I said, call mommy and say, hey, mommy, cancel the Hulu subscription. They're being mean to us again. They canceled a man who's got shitty ratings on his show. What?
I mean, I think that's specifically what it is. And I think it will be minimal impact because boycotts on the right work. And we've seen it in the polling. When Bud Light, Dylan Mulvaney thing happened, people in the 40 to 64-year-old male demographic, I forget the numbers, but it was something like 4-1. They said they were going to consume less Bud Light. And that is obviously their key demographic, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the women say, because they're probably not drinking as much Bud Light as the guy that gets off his construction job and buys a 30-pack and then drinks like 12 of them. So the right boycotts work, as we've seen with Target and everything else.
You know why they work? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I have a short memory span. I'll forget. The reason I think they work on the right is because we take things personally. I'll never forget after Michael Flynn got deplatformed and debanked by Chase. I went to go see my father at his office, and on his desk he had his Chase Sapphire, whatever the expensive credit card they have to pay a lot of money for to have it, cut up into a million pieces on his desk with a letter to Jamie Dimon, who he's known for years, pretty much saying, go F yourself. And the letter read, you deplatform General Michael Flynn, I deplatform you. Goodbye. I don't need your services. There's 5 other banks out there. And it was personal. It was personal for him that you did this to this great American or anybody. You don't even have to be a good person. It shouldn't happen to anybody to be debanked for your beliefs, okay? Unless, of course, you're causing destruction like the anarchists on the left do. But we take it personally because we know they're trying to harm us. The leftists don't really know. They read off a sheet of paper, and you see it in these protests. They're handed out pieces of paper, say this and chant this. There's no conviction to anything they do. These people are a bunch of stooges, or to put it nicely, a bunch of sheep.
They're a bunch of bullies. Now, I think the bulk of Democrats are sheep, but the core loudest voice are bullies because will they boycott? I'm sure some people canceled Disney Plus. I'm sure some people canceled Hulu. Those businesses are expensive and not making money and declining. And I love it because I think Disney Plus is a Bob Iger like pet project and it's failing. It's obviously they created crap content. Everybody left it. And so hopefully it hastens the demise of Disney. I would love it. But the reason I think that they're effective in this case, assuming the boycott had an action, is that the people in places like Disney who have infested it with wokeness don't really care about the financial incentives. Like they took the 2 most valuable entertainment franchises practically. They're up there in the top, Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Oh, and don't forget Marvel, and tried to turn them into girl brands, made them like super cringy and mediocre entertainment. And they destroyed billions of dollars worth of shareholder value. But all of the people are still there. They have not been fired. But when you see a wall-to-wall flood of bitching on Reddit from the left, these people who are on Reddit and work in the writers' rooms, who work, all of a sudden, they are not in the center of the pack. They're on the outside of the pack. And I think out of fear and a willingness to maintain the cult standing, they are very, very driven to desperate action. I think the left is driven by desperation. I think the right, as we're seeing, is increasingly like justice. I think is a selfless act, resolve. Like these are things that's like, no, time to fix this crap. And people aren't putting up with it anymore.
You know why it's easy for the left, Mark? It just dawned upon me. Because when you have people who are gutless, and we'll end it there, like Bob Iger, it's very easy because these people cave, and they don't even want to cancel in the first place. Bob Iger didn't want to cancel Jimmy Kimmel's show. He did it as a little, now it's more than apparent. He did it as, just a show. Hey, look, we yelled at him. We told him don't do it again. I guarantee you, Jimmy Kimmel's show tonight, he's probably back to his same hateful rhetoric that's going to get more people killed. It's all a show, and it's because Bob Iger agrees with people like Jimmy Kimmel. They hate Donald Trump. They hate everything about him. They hate everything he stands for. They hate every pro-American stance he has because these people are globalist, elite oligarchs who want the one world order. They want to be invested in China. They want to be invested in every other country and outsource everything to call centers in India and outsourcing to Asia and everything to wherever. That's why they hate America. If Bob Iger loved America, he would never allow The shit that he allowed to happen to Disney, the transgender this, the transgender that, he knows it in his right conscience that it's wrong, and it's wrong to put that in front of children. He knows right from wrong. If he loved this country, he would have stopped this years ago. It's apparent Bob Iger hates America, as do most of these people. Jamie Dimon, Brian Moynihan, whatever. You want to talk about any of these oligarchs who are making $30, $40 million a year, they all hate this country. To them, they should take their paycheck and get the hell out and go to a country that more aligns with your values, like China or Russia or Iran or Venezuela.
Weak men create hard times. And I don't know if it's BlackRock's ESG department. I don't know if it's the equity research analyst from Goldman Sachs. I don't know if it's Kamala Harris's chief of staff calling up and screaming into the phone, or maybe just because Bob Iger's wife wants to not get laughed at when she goes to her pickleball league. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's obviously one of the above, or all, a combination of all of them. That's what it took to sell out their own customers and the legacy of Walt Disney. Like, what on earth? Yeah, to be a propaganda outfit, like ABC, remember, fixing debates. ABC funding 538, which is a propaganda outfit whose goal was to information keep the polling industry.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Speaking of standing strong, Mark, President Trump telling Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries just moments ago to go pound sand. He has no interest in meeting with them because he knows what it's all about. President Trump writing on Truth Social, quote, after reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands being made by the minority leader, left Democrats in return for their votes for keeping our thriving country open, I have decided that no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive. They are threatening to shut down the government in the United States unless they can have over $1 trillion in new spending to continue their free health care for illegal aliens, transgenders, and he goes on to name a long list. I think that's absolutely brilliant. These people don't want to work with us. They want to go over there. He wants to sit down in front of Donald Trump like he did with Nancy Pelosi. That's Chuck Schumer, who said, you're going to own this shutdown. And Donald Trump says, yeah, I'll own it. Donald Trump is absolutely brilliant. And he may finally win a funding fight with the Democrats, which is very hard to do because the Republicans are so damn stupid. And I'm not saying Donald Trump. I'm saying the Republicans in the House and Senate.
I think the first debt ceiling really robbed Chuck Schumer of a lot of his political capital, because they've been holding shutdowns over Republicans' heads, and the Republicans are so freaking stupid. The public now is so upset about the debt that they actually support government shutdowns. Imagine a country that only 30% trusts the federal government. Imagine them being upset that the government shut down. It doesn't make any sense. And when the government was shut down the last time, we polled on people, well, does it have an impact on your personal life? 90% of people are like, no. So every time we ask, we're getting like a number of 56% who are like, hey, if a partial government shutdown, should we do that until Republicans and Democrats can agree to cut spending? 56 to 34. With Democrats, it's only like minus 10. Like 40% of Democrats are like, yeah, shut it down. I don't give a crap. 73% of Republicans, like 3/4 of Republicans. And I say this every time, just call their bluff. Just tell them to screw off. It's going to be hilarious. Now, I would love to see like Doge come back and go hog wild on the rotten corpse of the federal government as it's shut down. But the establishment does not want the government shut down, right? Like all of these lobbyists, like probably some of their contracts dry up. They don't know how to plan for the next fiscal year. The bombs have to stop. Like I'm sure there are people who are freaking out and melting people's phones right now because of this courageous and strong stance that Donald Trump's taken. I hope this thing gets shut down for the remainder of his term. Like, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Let's see how we do without it.
Speaking of Doge, what's your take on Elon Musk possibly coming back into the picture? I've said all along it's great to bring him back in if we can. He was a great help to the country. I think he did a great service. Don't agree on how he treated Donald Trump. Don't agree on how he went about that in the public domain, spewing lies like that. But Donald Trump has forgiven people who have done far worse to him than that. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, and I also don't like how into corporate welfare that Elon Musk is. That I mean, I guess I can tolerate that. Elon Musk is pretty astute at social media, and so I think he knows how to push people's buttons. And I think he knew Charlie Kirk. I don't know how well, but he went to the event. But it's like, okay, well, he knows America is waiting to see this rift get healed. And then Donald Trump's a showman too, so he knows the optics are powerful. Then if you go to Elon's feed, he's leaning into it and talking about the religious aspects of the event. All very, very, very smart stuff. The question is what is happening behind the scenes. And I love having Elon around if he's going to actually fund reformation within the conservative movement, which we've talked about at length on your show about how corrupt I think it all is. But what was weird is I saw an internet exchange where Rich Barris was like talking about this specifically, and somebody within the Trump administration was like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And the America PAC and Turning Point USA was working hand in hand with the RNC, and we did the best get out the vote, get out the blah blah blah. And so even to this day, I think that people within Republican circles are very blind to the reality and how completely outclassed they are by Democrats. It's like if you imagine the Republican platform as like a car, a vehicle, and Donald Trump happens to be the person in the driver's seat right now. That doesn't mean the vehicle's good. Like he could be really just good at driving. The Democrats are operating like a freaking Maserati right now, and this is like a piece of crap 40-year-old like Yugo, and it needs work. And who's going to fund that? Because all of the money that goes on the Republican side, it just goes into enriching themselves. It goes into maintaining the status quo. And like respectfully, Turning Point USA and America PAC did really great work. Don't think the Republicans can pat themselves on the back for that. And because every Republican I talk to, like all the MAGA people get shut out of the races. Money doesn't go to the right place. I know for a fact that they don't give a crap about polling, and they're really bad at messaging. So you put those two things together, and you're like, no, you're not performing correctly. So I would love to see him get serious and work maybe with JD Vance to put together a new infrastructure that gives people an option like that's different than just taking the RNC garbage. I want to run. I want to change America. I'm an American first person. Don't really like the Republicans. What are my options? Well, you're going to have to take Kevin McCarthy's deal. You got to kiss his butt, and you got to use his vendors. That's the kind of stuff that happens right now. And the people in the RNC will say, no, it's not. No, we're changing it. Well, are you though? You've talked to these people. They are not ideologues. They do not give a crap about the American middle class. They can convince themselves these problems don't exist in Washington, D.C., where K Street rules.
Go look at opensecrets.org and you can find out who those political pundits are, those genius political pundits who are making tens of millions of dollars a year for these quote unquote America First candidates. Mark, before we wrap, this is probably something that you haven't seen yet. It's just coming across here. President Trump, in a meeting with Vladimir Zelensky just earlier today, was asked, do you think NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace? President Trump replied, yes, I do.
The world craves war. It's the most predictable thing. I don't want my children to die in a conflagration between three nuclear powers. I really don't. And I think Americans support it less. Like only 38% wanted boots on the ground in Israel. Hopefully America, I don't know, man. I think hopefully he's posturing. Like that's probably the thing you would tell Vladimir Putin, and you would hope that Vladimir Putin is sane enough not to do it. But then I don't trust our side to not do false flags at all, because I think NATO craves war. They're expansionists. This is literally an anti-Russia. This is a Eurasian crusade, is the only thing that I can surmise based on all of the posturing. So I don't know. The window's closing for Trump to de-escalate this stuff.
Yeah.
But it would be a very helpful way to reestablish the dollar hegemony, winning another massive world war. Yeah, and of course, it will be, paved with the blood of the proletariat.
Yeah, the thing that doesn't get enough coverage, Mark, is that NATO's been craving new war and war since the early 90s, when they've continued to expand their borders as they promised they weren't going to do. So hopefully, like you said, it was just on President Trump's part trying to bring Vladimir Putin to the table to end this thing once and for all, because we don't need another war. We don't need a war. We don't need to be sending our kids to go fight a war between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, it's truly sad, Mark, that we've come to this point now where we can't get ourselves out of our own way. We can't get ourselves away from war.
And even I've been tracking public opinion on it through Gallup, who polls Ukrainians. And, like there's always been this artificial goalposts of being like, well, no, Vladimir Putin has to pack up and completely leave. Well, no, there's probably like ethnic disputes, and some of these people want to be part of Russia. Like there's a lot. And like, how are you going to make him? There's a lot in wanting that, but that has always been ubiquitously the goal in the way that the press and the politicians frame it. We need to reclaim every bloody inch. Well, support is starting to collapse among Ukrainians, according to the Gallup poll. Now, not according to the International Republican Institute USAID funded poll. That poll still shows that people want to bleed in Ukraine. But the percent of Ukrainians who think we should continue fighting until it wins the war started at 73% in 22, is down now to 24%.
Wow.
And negotiating a quick ending is up to 69%. And that's as of August. So
interesting.
Hopefully sanity will prevail. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We just got also word, Mark, now, unrelated to this, but I guess I got to get your take on this. Chad Mazzell is leaving the Department of Justice. People are saying, who's Chad Mazzell? Attorney General Pam Bondi's chief of staff. What does that mean?
Poor guy.
Do you think she's on her way out?
I don't know. I mean, that sounds like a scapegoat. Maybe he was bad at his job. Maybe he was really good at his job, and he was just scapegoated. I don't know that guy personally. And I'll tell you, her polling is not that bad, but it's like with these kind of things, it's like what the narrative matters, and people are asking. And then there's this whole thing where, Trump tweeted and he's desperately pleading with her to finally take action. And I don't know. It would probably be bad for her to leave, because this gives the Republicans in the Senate more power to influence who gets confirmed as a replacement. What I think they should probably do is take somebody who is already confirmed that could do a good job and transplant them. And I don't know necessarily who that would be. I would have said Kash Patel 3 or 4 months ago, but
Andrew Bailey should have been Attorney General of the United States. Andrew Bailey, who's now over at the FBI.
Has he received Senate confirmation?
No, but he'd have no problem receiving Senate confirmation. The guy's, from what I see, the guy's clean as a whistle. The guy's got just an extraordinary background. Overall, really, really, really good guy. There's nobody more well-spoken, I think, in government than Andrew Bailey. And like I said, he's got a really good, track record and past.
I have one potential.
Who's that?
And I have to mention why this name came to mind. I retweeted.
By the way, Andrew Bailey's a veteran as well. Sorry.
Yeah. So I retweeted recently a pretty interesting development. An individual with the last name Tickton appeared on Emerald Robinson's show, talked about how he has insider knowledge that there was an operation in Serbia that ostensibly prevented the effort that was underway in order to steal the 2024 election, allegedly, according to him. This guy isn't like a tinfoil hat crackpot guy. And I thought that was a really wild interview. I didn't see the whole thing. But what do I see, alas, in my feed just yesterday? It's that individual now, a week after he made those claims, talking with a Mr. Ed Martin of the Department of Justice. Pretty interesting. So I think maybe Eagle Ed Martin could do a good job. And he has been Senate confirmed.
Well, no, he was the one who was blocked, Mark. He was the one who was blocked by Mr. Healthcare $1 billion raising from North Carolina. He was supposed to be the U.S. attorney for D.C.
Yeah, but then didn't he get confirmed for a different position then?
I don't think there was Senate confirmation in that position.
Oh, no.
He's the head of, I think he's the head of like pardon. Yeah, I think he's in an unconfirmed, unSenate confirmed position. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the one who couldn't get through because of,
right.
What's his name?
Tillis.
What's that? Tom Tillis. Right, Tom Tillis.
Because of pharma.
Told you guys. Right. So he couldn't get Senate confirmed because of Tom Tillis, of course, background and money-making scheme.
Oh, what a bummer.
But yeah,
you're right. So who the hell? Like,
I'm telling you, Andrew Bailey, I think, has positioned himself. You look at the work Andrew Bailey has done as AG for Missouri, and it's on par with Ken Paxton, who I think is probably one of the greatest attorney generals.
I'm not saying like take a Harmeet Dillon and put her there, and then Phil. I don't know. Like, there's got to be somebody, John.
Yeah, that somebody is Andrew Bailey.
Yeah, how long is it going to take? He'll get confirmed in what, 2027?
Well, according to Kyle Seraphin, this FBI whistleblower who I follow on Twitter, some of the stuff he says I think is he takes things I think too personally, and a lot of his attacks on Kash Patel are personal based attacks, not based on substance. So I take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what his background is. Apparently an FBI guy, but career FBI guy, but so I take everything with a grain of salt, but he's saying Kash Patel is going to be out, any week, any month now at the FBI, and Andrew Bailey is going to take over. So that's what he's saying. I'd much rather see Andrew Bailey at Attorney General or someone like Ken Paxton at Attorney General rather than what we have now. I mean, I'm just getting tired, Mark. I'm tired of waiting. I'm just tired. I don't dislike Pam Bondi personally, nothing like that. I'm tired. We sat here for 10 years and watched everything that was done to us in this country, and nothing is being done right now. We're told grand juries impaneled here, grand juries impaneled there, grand jury there. That's months ago. It doesn't take this long. This is a case that's been going on for 10 years now. It shouldn't take this long. I'm sorry. We shouldn't be told a grand jury was impaneled 2 or 3 months ago, and now we're still sitting here waiting. So I'm just tired of it. I mean, do your job or get out. It just comes down to that.
Yeah, we're just now, for instance, getting off the couch to finally decide to stretch and warm up and put our exercise outfit on to go after Antifa, who's been burning cities for 5 years. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here? All of the links to the communities in which they organize are all widely tracked by people on the internet. You have literally private citizens infiltrating these groups and trying to beg for the government to do something. And it's like, no, they're too busy painting right-wing terrorists with January 6th, which we haven't, even attempted to undo that lie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mark Mitchell, we could talk for hours as we usually do, and I'm sure we'll talk for a few hours on the phone tonight about this country and what can be done to save it. It's a scary situation. Mark, as always, a delight to talk to you. And as I told the audience, we're trying to get you on here once a week as we're now heading into election season, because I think there's so much important stuff to talk about. And the there's nobody else I'd rather piss the left off with other than you and Roger Stone, who's also another weekly guest here on this show. So, Mark Mitchell, are we streaming this week? What are we doing? The audience always asks me, where's Mark Mitchell? And I'm like, Mark Mitchell's got like 30 kids, and Mark Mitchell's cooking dinner for him every night. And he's got this dog, and he's got bears, and he's got chickens in the backyard. And he's got a very busy life. Mark is the head of the household, the wife of the household. Not to discount your wife. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. But you're a very busy man, Mark. You're a very busy man. But the audio.
Thanks. I did like 5 hours of shows though yesterday, John. You know what I mean? Like I went to bed with a sore throat. Yeah. No, we'll. I don't know. I already did I did 2 interviews already so far this week and live stream once, so we could literally do anything. We could do Thursday night. That'd be fun.
Let's
blast it out over everybody's.
Let's do it. I don't want to hear you did 1 hour this day or 2 hours. I do a show 5 days a week, 2 on the weekends. And I do, for everyone who joins us on audio, I do a midday report, Mark. All right? Don't be lazy. I'm just kidding. Mark's
5 hours, John. 5 hours of video. It's like,
for a man who's rather shy and doesn't like to talk, Mark, that's kind of hard for you to do.
No, it's the fluorescent lights beating into my skull. And
one day we're gonna have to tell the audience, Mark, looking into your eyes. One day we're gonna have to tell the audience about how you've corrected your own vision, because I think I tell everybody I know, and they're like, "How did he do it?" So one day we're gonna have to spend an episode on how Mark Mitchell went from like a -4 to better eyes than me at like an under a 2.
It's a 5-minute talk. I'll do it right now.
Sure, you know what? Let's do it. But Mark Mitchell, honest pollster, preeminent pollster, greatest pollster in America right now. And, we'll say the world because Atlas Intel is over in Brazil, so we'll get them there too. Tell the audience, Mark Mitchell, how you corrected your vision, because I think this is probably one of the most brilliant things that you've ever told me.
Well, I learned about it because I ask questions professionally, and there is no question I won't ask. But you're going to have to hear about it coming up after the break. So make sure you buy pillows from John and head on over to my socials at Rasmussen_poll, at Honest Pollster on Twitter.
You're absolutely right. Let's take a break here. Take a listen to my good friend Mike Lindell. And Mark's right. Buy some pillows. If you're tuning in on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, wherever you guys are joining, drop a comment, please. We read all the comments. We're coming right back with the Great America Show. Please stay with us.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us here on the Great America Show. And Mark Mitchell is going to tell you folks how to ditch your glasses and how to fix your vision. This is a new one, Mark, but Dr. Mark Mitchell, since everyone's a doctor, right? Dr. Mark, tell the audience how you corrected your vision from like a 4 to a 1 and change.
So I became ungovernable long before it was cool. And the first institution that I lost complete trust in was the medical industry. And the very first thing that they did that pissed me off was I was 35. I was a healthy guy. I just run a marathon like 3 or 4 years before that. And they're like, you know what? Your blood pressure is high. You should take a statin. And, we all know our bodies. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to take a drug for the rest of my life. That's retarded. But why is that your answer? Like, let's talk about it. And I was completely astounded. Turns out it's like, okay, well, they use medium-sized cuffs on my right arm. But if I use a normal-sized cuff sized to me on my left arm, I don't have high blood pressure. Imagine that. So how many people are getting a statin You know, because like they're looking at the wrong kind of cholesterol, their hypertension concerns that don't exist, because that's what the medical industry does, is it creates products to manage chronic disease. And so everything aligns towards creating these chronic diseases. Turns out I went to get a sleep study because my wife's like, hey, I think you might have apnea. Your dad's got a CPAP. Maybe you got it too. Maybe it's hereditary. Maybe there's something biomechanical. So I went and got my sleep study, and what they tell me, oh yeah, you have apnea. You're going to die. So you need to buy this machine from us for the rest of your life. It will cost the taxpayers and yourself and the industry, the insurance industry, and everybody who pays a premium, between $2 and $4 million to care for your CPAPs and get them resized and do sleep study like for the rest of your life. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be sucking rubber for the rest of my life. Yeah. So I got a pulse oximeter and I did some reading. And after a lot of searching, I was like, well, maybe I should just sleep on my side and get a firmer mattress. And imagine that. Yep. My sleep apnea completely went away. So then it was like, what else am I being lied to about? And I had the same journey that many people have with myopia, which is somewhere around 5th, 6th, 7th grade. I noticed I can't see the chalkboard anymore because I got to take notes and I'm listening to the teacher talk. And then so your parents bring you to the optometrist and they want you to have 20/20, and the optometrist wants to sell you glasses. Mm-hmm. And so what do you get? You get glasses. And then for whatever reason, everybody thinks heredity, and maybe there is an aspect of heredity. I'm not saying there isn't. 6 months down the line, I still can't see the damn chalkboard. Well, why is that? So I go to the optometrist, and the optometrist is like, oh, sweet, I get to sell you more glasses. And your mom wants you corrected to 20/20. My Johnny can't fail that test. He's got to be able to see the board, the notes. And so I went from basically being 20/20 to having 3 3/4 in one eye and 4 1/4 in the other eye. So average them out to 4 diopters. That was the worst my prescription ever got. It happened in the Navy. I think I was like 25 or 30. Wow. And I started getting like headaches because I had gotten another prescription and miraculously it wasn't as high. And then I pulled these other glasses out and I put them on. I'm like, oh damn, I got headaches. And so I like reading around, I found a site called endmyopia.org. And I'm not pitching a product. You don't have to buy a product. All the information's there, but it helped me kind of understand the issue. And selling glasses is a big business. And most big businesses in the US develop a racket. One of the rackets is you can't buy glasses without getting a prescription in the United States for myopia. Reading glasses, it's fine. You could buy them for $5 at Walmart. So why a plus requires a prescription and a negative doesn't, or vice versa, whatever. I don't know, but it is the reality. And it's weird. And they'll say, oh, well, we have to check. You could be developing macular degeneration at the age of 35. It's like, really, dude? Yeah. Like, no, you want to sell glasses. Yep. In England, you don't need a prescription in order to buy myopia glasses. And so what I did was I started ordering my contacts through England, and I was getting progressively less and less prescriptions. And my eyes were fine. Was I corrected to 20/20 all the time? No, it was like 20/30, 20/40. But I noticed that it's like, hey, after a few months, I could buy a lower prescription and wear them and it would be better. Now I'm starting to plateau out. Part of the reason is I have an astigmatism, but I'm wearing 1 1/4 diopters right now. And I'm corrected to probably about 20/40. And it's taken me a few years because I haven't been aggressive with it. But basically humans are made to see long focal lengths. If you focus on short focal lengths, it strains your eyes. And then when you get corrective lenses, it makes the straining even worse when you look at a low focal length. And so that's the cycle, is that people wear glasses and then they read a book or take notes and then they read glasses. And the problem is the shifting back and forth between a long and short focal distance. And so you can prevent your eyes from getting worse by ensuring that you're reading without your corrective lenses if you're going to do short distance work, or under correct your eyes and look at things from a distance. Like my computer screen is 30 inches away from me right now. It's just at the edge of blurry, and I can use active focus while I'm working to essentially improve my eyesight. Now, again, I'll never get to 20/20 because I have an astigmatism, which I don't think can generally be corrected. But many people have, and that is not something that you'll hear about. And so it's like, how many people bought glasses They, the pediatrician said to my, about my son when he was 5, oh, he's like 2030, 2040, might want to get his eyes checked. And I'm like, you know what? No, like, screw you. I'm not going to. And sure enough, a year later, he went and he was 2020 again.
Wow.
Because it was like, it was in the winter. Wasn't a lot of sun out. You need to be outside, getting natural light, not looking at short focal lengths, not straining your eyes, taking breaks when and that's it. You can fix it. You order, I buy my contacts from England. It takes a week to get here. Sometimes they put nice little gummy candies in the box.
It's truly, every time you tell me the story, Mark, it's fascinating. I hope the audience finds it fascinating, because it's really it's an issue that I've spoken about a lot on the show, over prescription of people in America. And you look at it, whatever, SSRIs, Americans as a whole are overprescribed on every single thing that you can possibly prescribe somebody in this country. I got 4 wisdom teeth pulled maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Mark, and they sent me home with like 80 Percocets, and I'm like, or whatever they were, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with these? Like, start a pill mill? It's
like, how many wisdom teeth don't even need to be taken out? Is like the question. Like, seriously, $18 billion is the combined U.S. myopia market.
Not bad. Not a bad market.
There seems, I get, like, that's a lot of money. It's all a racket, John. It's all a freaking racket.
That is absolutely. I'm going to start on mine. I think my eyes are at like a 2.5 or 2.25 or something like that. And
you know what's wild though is if you ask ChatGPT, I did this. I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Is myopia reversible?" And ChatGPT said, "No, it's absolutely not.
Wow.
It's hereditary." So question everything. Question everything.
Speaking of ChatGPT, not to give a plug to Tucker Carlson, but to give a plug to Tucker Carlson, he did an interview with Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO.
Oh, no way.
Oh, it was one of the greatest interviews I've ever seen. You've got to watch it. He looks at him in the eyes, asks him straight up if he killed the guy who allegedly committed suicide, who was leaking secrets on ChatGPT. He talks about ChatGPT and will ChatGPT ever go towards telling people about suicide? Because apparently a lot of people use it as a psychiatry mechanism, and about things like that, and how it differs for countries who have legal suicide. A very deep conversation, but really, really good. Tucker asks all the right questions, and the CEO, Sam Altman, seems like a little bit of a strange guy. And it gets really weird when Tucker starts asking him if he thinks it's strange that his guy committed suicide. He goes into all the scenarios, and this guy just got back from vacation with his friends. His friends say he wasn't suicidal. He ordered food off a DoorDash, and Sam Altman, this was one that got me really spooked out. Sam Altman to Tucker Carlson saying, Tucker's like, this guy just ordered DoorDash, he got home from vacation. He was all happy and everything. And Sam Altman goes, well, a lot of people order their favorite foods before they commit suicide. You're like, wait,
no.
What? Like, that's the strangest argument. And Tucker's like, yeah, but the security cameras were cut at the cord, and there was a wig in this guy's house, and it didn't even belong to him, and he committed suicide, and there's blood in 2 different rooms. Like, who commits suicide, shoots himself in one room, and then goes to the other? And Altman sits there, and I don't know, what the deal is, but
he should have had less Tylenol when he was a child.
Dude, it was an excellent interview on Tucker Carlson's part. For Altman, I don't know why he agreed to sit down with Tucker, because the questions he asked, Mark, were absolutely phenomenal. And based on Altman's body language, I'm not a body language expert, but I know when someone's getting awkward, something's wrong. Mark, I recommend everybody go check out that interview, by the way, on YouTube or wherever.
I'm doing it right now.
And on a light note, since we just talked about Mark correcting his vision, the MLB just announced, now Mark's not a baseball guy or sports guy, but the MLB just announced, starting next season, for all us baseball fans, this is big, they're going to have robotic umpiring, and teams will allow to have 2 challenges a game on bad calls. And now, I watch a lot of baseball, especially this time of year, and I watch my Yankees, who I think are going to lose very, very shortly. Breaks my heart. But you watch a lot of games be ruined now. I don't know if for years you've heard people saying sports betting is rigged and this and that, but you watch a lot of these things and 80%, 85%, because after every MLB game, Mark, they do a breakdown of how the calls were, if they were correct. And you got guys coming in at like 85%, getting 8.5 per 10 calls right. That's the change of a game. I mean, even 90%, you get one call wrong. That's the difference between game over and a walk-off run. So I think it's going to be interesting to see that the push towards AI. We're seeing it this year. I know you're not a sports fan, but in the NFL, Mark, they're using it for the first down marker. They're using AI-generated technology to try to get human error. The truth of the matter is I
don't like it.
Humans are wrong. Machines are usually not wrong unless.
No, but I don't like the idea of machines being unquestionable. John, I'm a referee, and people probably want to replace me with a machine. But I like the idea. I'm the referee for the American people.
Oh, I thought
balls and strikes
for kids.
No, I call balls and strikes for the voters, and they would probably love to replace me with an opaque black box that tells society what Americans think. Back off. No way. Not going to.
That's capitalism, Mark. Let them do it. If you're doing it better, I'm always under the impression, Mark, if somebody could do my job better than me, they deserve to have my job. So I think that's a really good mantra to live by. And I've always told that to Lou Dobbs. We'd argue. We'd argue every day about something. And there was times where I think he probably wanted to fire me. He never could because
I think this idea of like
I used to say
tradition, integrity, ideals will get lost in the ones and zeros. You know what I mean? Like I don't care if they're not 100% accurate. If they're 100% of the time they're trying to be accurate.
Yeah, but let me ask you this question, Mark. Hold on. What about the idea that machines are uncompromisable on its face? Now, I'm not talking about all machines, obviously, especially when it comes to voting machines. They're compromisable when it comes to the human compromising them. But if you think about it, you're compromisable. I'm not saying you per se, but someone in your industry, as we've seen, is compromisable. Whereas a black box, if put in
the idea that any black box is uncompromisable is so dangerous and manipulable by powers that be. That's the problem.
Well, it's only compromised by human, though. It's not compromised by itself.
Yeah, but the idea that all of a sudden we're going to be able to do away with that stuff.
No, I'm not
by entrusting it entirely to machines. That is not the case. It's never going to be the case. So let's just acknowledge that everything is human, because it will be, unless we want to cede our leadership to the first all-powerful AI or alien race that comes along, and that humans are corruptible. And the only way to really prevent that, work in that kind of system, is acknowledge that they're corruptible and try to instill the ideals of integrity in society.
Oh, good luck. Oh, good luck with that. I'm taking the machine any day over it. Humans are just such compromise. Us as a human species are just compromisable people. I'm not talking about you or I, but I'm talking about just about everyone else, Mark. Everyone is compromised or bought or owned by something, or there's a price for something. There's very few people who are, not compromisable. And it's just the truth of the matter. Obviously, joking about the machines compromised, they didn't compromise themselves. They're compromised by a human being, which further proves my point that humans are guilty.
John, this is the battle of our generation, though. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, one of my favorite books is Don Quixote, and it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable mistrusting everything. But it's probably the best viewpoint to have right now. It really is. And here's the thing. It's the way we're going to get out of this situation, is returning to a high trust society. And in a high trust society, nobody questions the umpires, because it's like, okay, well, it's sportsmanship. I don't want to win because of a shitty call. That's the way I see it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think playing sports, you should have 1 out of 10 calls be bad against your favor.
Yeah, I agree. But then when you look at it, Mark, on the face, when there's billions of dollars involved, and $1 billion in sports markets, and there's billions of dollars in franchises and billions of dollars in payroll salary. I think that's where it gets a little bit different than high school baseball or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where I draw the line. Watching football over the years, Mark, there's been so many just disgusting things.
Just every time you think about it, John, just think about voting machines.
I know that's what I'm saying is like, but those voting machines were compromised by human beings. So it's like,
will this system be?
Yeah, but this one's, right in front of our face. Like, the voting machine's a little bit different where it's all done behind closed doors, so it's tough, but that's the world we're living in now. Human error has forced us to this point, Mark. Self-driving vehicles, probably self-driving planes very soon, which scares the hell out of me. But, that's it. That's the reality of what we've come to. Folks, Mark Mitchell on Twitter at Honest Pollster, on YouTube at Rasmussen_poll, at Rasmussen_poll. Join Mark each and every week for his live streams and his videos on YouTube, and be sure to follow Mark on Twitter. Mark, we will see you next week, my friend. Always a delight to talk to you. As I said, we can go on for another hour and a half, but you get the last word here.
I thought we were doing Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Be there.
Done.
Or be
Done.
there. Yep.
And then next week,
where to go. Rasmussen_poll at Honest Pollster will be on YouTube, Rasmussen_poll, and all of John's channels.
Thank you, Mark Mitchell. We'll see you Thursday night, 9 p.m. sharp. And then again next week. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Mark Mitchell. Thanks to Mark Mitchell, folks, and thank you all for being with us today here on The Great America Show. We hope to see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. And I hope you all enjoyed this conversation with Mark as much as I did. Always a fascinating conversation with Mark. And like I said, we're going to try to get him back here once a week going into the election season here on The Great America Show. See you back here tomorrow, folks. Until then, may God bless you all. May God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.